Such is the argument about voting and how valuable the present vote is. First, limited candidates limits the choice of rule, thus limits choice itself. The campaign for any position is such an expense that it immediately puts that capability out of the reach of the common man, limiting equality. The few candidates being voted for only mention a small number of policies while campaigning, and if elected, may not even hold their word on those. The myriad of other unmentioned policies are their real work, which the people should be informed of, but which rarely come into public light, mocking representation. Also, it is not the candidate that has power. The candidate, once elected, is moved by campaign contributions and donations by huge need suppliers ingrained into the system. It is they who are the true shapers of the policies to their own selfish ends, making the vote even more meaningless. All these candidates are soon allied with them or heavily invested with them. If not, they either soon will be, else they will be demonized in the public eye. No truly free thinker is allowed to get too far in present-day political affairs without pledging allegiance to their empire, lest they be neutralized. For those who deny this power know that of the Earth's 100 most wealthy entities, 51 of them are corporations, while the other 49 are merely countries. Lastly, the remaining worth of the vote is snuffed out by the Electoral College, who is supposed to represent the majority's will, but does not have to. One does not vote for the president. One votes for 538 people who will make that decision for you. In this world, it is far too easy to influence that small amount of people. The Electoral College was erected in a time when the common man was not sufficiently educated. It is a thing of the past in the individualistic society where knowledge and education are the crown jewels and the people make decisions for themselves, as is their authority to do so. The individuals comprising the said government, especially in the larger, more powerful departments, are far removed from the income level and stresses of the masses. Therefore, they have no affinity towards the wants, needs, problems, and concerns of this vast majority. The members of the House of Representatives and the Senate receive a salary of $165,200 per year. Congressional leaders receive $183,500. Speaker of the House, $212,100 per year, and the average American salary is approximately $37,000. Thus, the lowest paid congressman makes approximately 4.5 times more than the average man. Furthermore, they have become involved in and understand corrupt systems directly proportionate to how far they have progressed within government and are now allied with corporate powers and benefiting therefrom. Therefore, their goals, incentive, and determination become that of the corporations, while the people who they are supposed to represent are simply forgotten. This is why, if one holds on to the concept of representatives, they must be forced to disclose in advance all of their intentions to the people they are to represent and be bound by strict law to fulfill that contractual obligation. Nevertheless, the individualist sees even this as unnecessarily complex and prone to corruption, and chooses its own simplistic system of harmonically reflective civil management, a form of direct democracy. Individualistic simplicity holds that there is but one right. One has the right to do whatever one wishes as long as it causes no harm. Harm in itself is the indicator that one has broken the universal right. This universal right cannot be subdivided into infinite subclauses of ensnarement as in profane doctrines. A system is either universal and unlimited by being simply one, or it is limited and profaned into many. There are no other systems. A profane system can easily be distinguished because of its plurality. These systems of many rights have limited the infinite, which is one, causing the one right to be explained as a complex series of capabilities, such as one can do this but cannot do that, madness, which only evolves into a tool for manipulation and control. Complexities as these are erected by corrupt governments, groups, and other controlling entities masquerading as protecting rights while veiling this limiting and controlling aspect. This danger is present within a constitution or social contract, which are based on limited rights allotted to the people by an entity separate from the people, which was brought into existence by the people. The entity called into being, government, has a contract of duties to perform based on these rights. Ideally, the beast created is to remain slave of the people, and the people may at any time alter their contract with it. As necessary as the social contract is to any society, It must be carefully monitored, as it instantly causes a separation which sets up a group to govern and another group to be governed. This separation is profaned unity, which is fertile ground in which only corruption may grow. The only social contract that is not divided as such is a contract where all are equal in all powers. Thus all govern and are governed simultaneously with one universal right to each and all. This is the only constitution acceptable so as not to blossom into perversion. This truth is clearly seen in the profane social contracts of today, started in good faith, now impossible to change in favor of the people who created it, yet simple to change in favor of the government. The entity drawn into being by the people now is controlling the people. Quote, "If we understand the mechanism and motives of the group mind, it is possible to control and regiment the masses according to our will without their knowing it." End quote. Edward Bernays on The Engineering of Consent. In today's age, the very definitions of forms of government are widely disputed, and when practiced in reality, they are more often than not a synthesis of a few different types of government, yet only label themselves as one or the other. This has further convoluted their definitions. It is for this reason that the individualists have decided to clearly define their methods of operation and intent so as to be free from ambiguity. Therefore, the following simple, unadulterated definitions of the major forms of world government are used in comparison to clearly indicate how individualism is a unique system of civilization management. A. Democracy. From the Greek word demokratia, demos, the people, and kraton, to rule, which is from the Greek word kratos, strength or power. Thus, it literally means rule by the people, or the people's power. Defined by the Cognitive Science Laboratory at Princeton University, 1. The political orientation of those who favor government by the people or by their elected representatives. 2. A political system in which the supreme power lies in a body of citizens who can elect people to represent them. 3. The doctrine that the numerical majority of an organized group can make decisions binding on the whole group. B. Republic. From Latin res, a thing, matter, affair, and publica, the public, thus literally, a public matter. Defined by American Heritage Dictionary, 1. Any political order that is not a monarchy. 2. A constitutional form of government, especially a democratic one. 3. Any group of people working freely and equally for the same cause. C. Federation. From Latin foedus, league, treaty. Defined by the Cognitive Science Laboratory at Princeton University. 1. An organization formed by merging several groups or parties. 2. Confederation, a union of political organization. 3. The act of constituting a political unity out of a number of separate states or colonies or provinces so that each member retains the management of its internal affairs. D. Monarchy. From Greek mono, soul, and archos, ruler, defined by YETC Arizona. 1. A type of government in which political power is exercised by a single ruler under the claim of divine or hereditary right. E. Theocracy. From Greek theos, God, and kraton, to rule, thus rule by God. Defined by the Cognitive Science Laboratory at Princeton University. 1. A political unit governed by a deity or by officials thought to be divinely guided. 2. The belief in government by divine guidance. F. Authoritarianism. Defined by the American Heritage Dictionary. 1. Characterized by or favoring absolute obedience to authority as against individual freedom, such as a state or organization whose leaders have the power to govern without the consent of those being governed and enforce this control and strict obedience of the citizens through the use of oppression extending even into their thoughts and actions of daily life. Authoritarianism is mentioned here to show that the definition of individualism has nothing whatsoever in common with it, as this is not a form of government, but it is more rightly a system of slavery in many guises.